Before the week starts, I say, what are the podcasts I want to listen to? Is there a book that I want to finish? What are we going to watch? This is very, very helpful because most of our time is wasted binge watching things that are not good for us. Woe when everyone speaks well of you. Cheap grace is what Dietrich Bonhoeffer called it. You know, there's a war raging for the hearts and souls of your kids. And you have to be shrewd as serpents, gentle as doves. You have to see it. You need to learn to spot it for what it is. You know, God's given you authority. Use it. This way, your faith is deeply personal, but it cannot be private. It is the normal position of men and women who love God stand against injustice. My hope is in no government or political system. My hope is in Jesus Christ. Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Under God Podcast. My name is Stephen, and in this episode, we're going to build on the last episode where we introduced the Better Planner. I want to encourage you, if you're interested in a tool that can really help you grow, you can find out more information about the Better Planner at betterplanner.com. We have two planners. One is a yearly planner, which I use, but I started using the quarterly planner. One's a 12-week planner. One's really just 4 12-week periods that you can plan. But in the last episode, we talked about the foundation of the Better Planner. Really, I believe it's the foundation of the Christian life, and that is personal vision. Now, personal vision is not all the things that you want apart from God. It's seeing your life in God's plan. We walk through essentially 3 parts of personal vision. Those really drive the planner. Now, when we say planner, we immediately think time, but it's the vision that God gives you that organizes and structures your time. So many people just give their time away. They allow people to take and to steal their time, but the Bible says time is the most finite resource we have. It's the most valuable thing. I remember growing up, my dad used to always tell me when I was doing something, he always insisted that I did things right and that I was incredibly efficient. He used to always say this to me: time is money. There's nothing further from the truth. The only thing that distinguishes you from anyone else is how you use your time. God will give you wisdom on how to use your time. One of the things we've put in this planner that is the driving force behind the time management tool is personal vision. Personal vision's 3 parts. We start at the end. We reverse engineer from our funeral. We write a personal eulogy. Then we craft 5 to 7 priorities. Those priorities are very detailed with SMART goals. And then we map our relationships. Now, once we have that figured out, I'm going to tell you, that takes the most amount of time. If you blow through that process, the time management tool is not going to help you that much, okay? Because it's really just a planner. It allows you to align your time with your vision. So you want to make sure you get your vision right. If you're just starting off with the planner, please get the quarterly planner. If you get the quarterly planner every 12, 13 weeks, you can kind of update it and change it. Over time, what will happen is it'll get a little bit more stable. You'll get some patterns in your life. And then at that time, you can move to a yearly planner as you continue to grow and develop. So now we're going to go part 2 of a 2-part series on the Better Planner is time management. Part 1 was all about personal vision, was all about seeing your life in God's plan. Once you get that figured out, right, you've written your eulogy, you've solidified your priorities for the quarter or for the year, you've really gotten a handle on your relationships. Now you have to take your time, right, and you have to force it to go where you want it to go. Here's something about time. Time is something you must control. Okay, now there obviously are some things you can't control depending on the season of your life. Many of you get up and you go to work. Guess what? Well, your time belongs to your employer. But even in your job, you can align your time to be super efficient so that you can be promoted. Your time with your family can be super efficient so that you can make sure you're developing the strongest relationships with God, with your wife, with your kids, with your friends, with those that you're doing life with. And so time management is key no matter where you are. So as we move from personal vision to time management, the first thing I want you to think about is I want you to go wide, and then we're going to get specific. What does that mean? Well, we want to start with all of the big things that we know are coming. What are some of the big things that we know are coming? Well, we know that birthdays usually don't change every year. We know that holidays usually don't change every year. For most of us, we're off on national holidays. We know when those 4-day weekends are. We know when those anniversaries are. We know when where those maybe those trips that we've planned are, or those surgeries, or those getaways, whatever those are. So what you want to do first is you want to put the big rocks in first. Now, I want you to think about this as like you have a glass, right? You have a glass. Let's say that you want to maximize all of the space in this glass. Okay, the only way you're going to maximize it, what a lot of people do is they let the glass get filled up with all of the little things, with all the specific things, and then when they try to put the big things in, they don't fit, right? They don't fit. What you want to do first is you want to put the big rocks in first, and then you want to take the littler things and you want to spread that around. What happens is that makes it to where you can fill it to the brim and you cannot waste any time or any space. And so the first thing I challenge people to do is rolling quarters. Okay. And so in your planner, you're going to have a worksheet that's going to kind of look like this. You can find all of these online at betterplanner.com. I'm preparing mine for the next year, but essentially I have a 12-week period right here. Now, if you have the yearly planner, you're going to have 4 of these pages. If you have a quarterly, you're going to have 1. And what you want to do with this is you want to capture all of the big things, the anniversaries, the birthdays, the trips, the procedures, anything that you know is coming up. You want to make sure that you put that on first. You want to make sure that that's handled. Now, from rolling quarters, you're going to move to what I call the weekly plan, or the ideal week. Now, I started doing this practice probably about 15 years ago, and it was transformational in my life. You have your personal vision, you're aligning your time, you capture all the big rocks with the rolling quarters, but then every single week you sit down before the week. I used to call this my week before the week. And I would essentially map out everything that I have, right? And I would make sure that my time aligned with my priorities. Now, here's how this worksheet looks practically. So you can see here, it's one spread, right? You have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Up here, you have all of your priorities, all of your categories. For me, I have several categories. I have things that only I can do. Okay, I have a category for my calendar, meaning I just line out the things. This is how I live by the calendar. Remember a couple episodes we talked about that? I line them in order. I don't have to do everything. I just have to keep my eyes on the most immediate things. I have an area here that's just open loops. It's kind of my catch-all. Okay, I have something here that's vintage church. This is vintage church. I actually changed this to local and regional because I have responsibilities at our location, and then I have responsibilities for a whole church. I have a personal thing here. I have something here. What is that? That's an organization that I'm working with called Eagles Wings. Essentially, those will change every week. They'll adjust. Your list will change. One of the things I do as those get kind of bigger, maybe you're managing lots of things, is I'll use sticky notes and I'll kind of put things on the week. Okay. You might notice here, though, my priorities funnel down into my schedule. My schedule starts at 5 and it ends at 9. And so I have my schedule here, and what I want to do is I want to be able to align all of the things that I have up here with my schedule. Now, this is not going to be perfect, okay? You're going to catch some things up here that maybe will roll from week to week, and that's okay. But after a period of time, you're going to realize, well, that cleaning the yard's been on my list for a long time. Fixing the gate's been on my list for a long time. That project's been on there for a long time, and you're going to be able to front load your week, and you're going to be able to get on top of it in the future. And so you're going to be putting stuff here. It funnels down into your schedule. There's a few things here on the side that I want to mention that are disciplines that will massively help you stay close to God and make sure that the most important things get done. And so you have your priorities at the top. They funnel down into your schedule. Down at the bottom of each day, I have a place to record maybe a habit that you're working on. Maybe you're trying to kick a bad habit and you're going days without that habit. I also have an area for you to record your sleep. My wife talked a lot about this on a previous podcast on health. Your sleep determines a lot, probably is the biggest determiner, is the biggest factor in your effectiveness to get things done, in your energy and all of that. So I record my sleep. But over here to the left, I have a section that's called Schedule First. What are those things that have to be put in first? In that, I meet with Kyla in our home. We have a special room. I meet with her and I have coffee with her every morning before the kids wake up. That is put there first. I meet with God every day. That is put there first. For me, I work out most days. I go to the gym. I put that in there. There's also maybe a couple habits you're wanting to do. Maybe there's something you've determined to get better at golf. Or you determined to, make some time for this, or to read, or to practice a hobby. I put those things in there. Another thing that I put in there is I'll put in things like bedtime for my kids. I put in things that matter the most so that I can make sure they get scheduled into my ideal week. Now, something else that's really neat that I have here is I have a section that's called Listen, Read, and Watch. Before the week starts, I say, what are the podcasts I want to listen to? Is there a book that I want to finish? What are we going to watch? This is very, very helpful because most of our time is wasted binge watching things that are not good for us. Okay, you guys know I've done it too. We'll sit in front of the TV. We'll feel super stressed out. We'll feel like we have no time, but somehow we got all the way through every episode of Friends over the holidays. Come on. Okay, and so I just say, okay, if I'm going to watch one episode of my favorite show, I'm going to put that there. I'm going to watch just this show. I'm going to do one a night. I put that there. Read, listen, and watch. What podcasts am I listening to? What am I putting into what are the inputs into my life? Because your inputs are going to equal your outputs. Crap in, crap out. Good in, good out. That's how it works. Now, what I want to do for the next couple minutes is probably talk to you about the most important part of your ideal week or your weekly plan, depending on what planner you're using. And that is your daily start routine. Now, I have a daily start routine. It's called daily because I do it every day, and it's a routine because 9 times out of 10, I do it. Okay, it doesn't mean that there's never a deviation in my morning or my evening routine, okay, but I do it most of the time. And so I have a daily start routine and a daily stop routine. Now, this is very important. Your ability to control your mornings are going to be the difference between you having a great productive day and being able to meet all the problems with grace and with clarity and you being stressed out all the time. Many of us, we struggle and our mornings are all horrible, and how you start something typically continues. And so in my life, if my morning routine is strong and I make sure that things are in the right place, it doesn't really matter what happens during the day. I have the emotional energy to deal with it. For me, my start routine is I wake up, I meet with God. I have coffee with Kyla at about 6 o'clock in a room called our parlor. We get up our kids. I take the boys, she takes the girls. It's written down, right? It's written down. Okay, I know exactly when we leave the house to go to school. I drop them off. For me, at this season of my life, this has changed, but for me, from the moment I drop them off, I have to get my workout in early. If I don't get my workout in early, I won't do it. And so I go to the gym, then I come home, I shower and I'm ready. By the time I'm at the office, it's 9 o'clock. That's my hard start. Meaning I can meet all the problems. I got all the stuff that I needed to do. Something else that's also in my morning routine, pro tip, this will bless you men. I promise you, make your bed every day. Make your bed every day. It doesn't matter what your day looks like. You're going to come home to a made bed. I make my bed every day. That's in my start routine. That's 9 times out of 10. That's what it looks like. Now, when you're just getting started and you're maybe chaotic in the morning, you've not really thought it through. You've not really, worked with your spouse on how to do it. This is going to be difficult for you, and it's going to have to change week to week. You can adjust your routine week to week. Okay. Then I have a stop routine. So here's what happens for me. From 9 to 3 o'clock, I go as fast as I possibly can in the church. I do this most days. Okay, I run in the church. I'm dealing with problems. I'm dealing with meetings. I'm doing different things. At 3 o'clock, my kids have to be picked up. Now, I don't drop off. My wife drops off. I pick up. We have 4 kids. When I pick up my kids, that starts for me my stop routine. Okay, and my stop routine looks like this. I pick up my kids. Sometimes we'll go get ice cream, or sometimes we'll go do something. We usually end up home around 4 o'clock. Okay, when I get home, I have certain things that I do. I make sure that they empty out their stuff. I make sure that I go and there's a couple things that I fix. There's some things in my stop routine. Okay, I have time for bedtime, for dinner. We schedule dinner. We have time for bedtime. I do the boys. She does the girls. Sometimes we swap. All right, then I have time with Kyla. And then at the very end of my day, I have time to sit down for 30 minutes to an hour. It'll take you longer at the beginning. I sit down and I double check all of my planner. I double check the different things. What did I miss? I make sure that I capture things with lists. I make sure that this is set. I start thinking about my next day. Many of us, we don't stage our next day. And because we don't stage our next day, we're super stressed out. Let me illustrate this to you. Okay, we have 4 kids, and this happens regularly, particularly when we're not paying attention to our start and stop routine. Okay, me and Kyla, we have a habit at the end of every single night. We make sure that our kids' clothes are laid out on the dresser. They're already picked out. We already have their shoes. Okay, we make sure that the house is pretty much picked up, that before they go to bed, they pick up the house. They make sure everything's straightened. Okay, we make sure that we think about their lunches And so we kind of have their stuff out on the table. We do their lunches. And so what happens is we stage the night before so that when we wake up the next morning, we're not getting stressed out about things we could have controlled. Now, obviously, one of the kids probably woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Somebody's complaining about this. There's a fight here. They lost this for their school. But we don't have to worry about finding their clothes. We don't have to worry about all of the other things. And so we're able to meet those challenges head on. This is huge for anybody with a complicated family life. Make sure that your routine, your start routine and your stop routine are solid. This is also really helpful for me. Okay. I don't have my phone at home with me all the time. I don't have a smartwatch. We're not constantly checking our phones. That doesn't mean we don't do things occasionally. We don't work in the evenings occasionally. Me and Kyla will work in the evenings from time to time. Okay. But you need to have some boundaries for your home. There are 4 people on my staff that are on my executive team. They can get through to me at home and they know what situations warrant them reaching out to me at home. Otherwise, my phone's on do not disturb. When I start my stop routine, it's like I'm winding down into my day. And so I make sure that I go as hard as I can during the business day, but you know what? I rest. Something else that I also do in the ideal week is I plan my Sabbath. For us, we do this. It starts on Friday night. It's a traditional Jewish Sabbath. We're not Jewish, but we practice the same time frame. It's just very convenient. At the end of it's sundown on Friday, right, to sundown on Saturday. And we spend time with our family. We plan things. We have a dinner that kind of kicks it off on Friday night. And so all of that stuff is put in here. When you have it all here, can I just tell you, it makes your life so much easier. Now, in the quarterly planner, we have an added feature that will really help you to manage your time. Okay, in the quarterly planner, we have what's called a daily audit. Now, in the yearly planner, we don't have that in here because you're literally living from your ideal or your weekly plan, and that's mostly what happens. Now, sometimes as you're getting control of your time, okay, you've got to actually audit. So in the quarterly planner, you have an ideal week where you write down at the beginning of the week everything you want to happen. And then when you turn the page, you have essentially an audit for every single day with a review. Now, in the yearly planner, every single week you have a review where you can think about what happened. You can grade the week. What were the highs? What were the lows? What am I going to do different next week? In the quarterly planner, you actually go through an audit every single day so that you can get your time under control. Listen to me. When time is out, it's gone. You'll never get it back. The moment it's gone forever. We have got to do better at planning our time. I love this resource. If there was anything that you could practice in your life, it would be making sure that your life is aligned with God, that your personal vision is in His plan, and it's also that you take control of your time. Your life is your time, and I promise you, if you don't take responsibility for it, somebody else is going to take it. That wraps up this episode. Thank you so much for hanging out with us again. You can pick up these at betterplanner.com. You can get a yearly planner or a quarterly planner. This has tremendously helped me out. It's how I coach everybody. I want to encourage you to go check it out. There's also all kinds of tutorial videos. There's all kinds of worksheets you can just download for free if you wanted to practice any of these several disciplines. That wraps up this episode. Thank you so much. I can't wait to see you again.
Thank you so much for joining us today on the Under God podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to like and leave us a review. Your support helps us reach more people with our content. You can stay connected with us on Truth Social, Facebook, Instagram, and Getter. And don't forget to subscribe on Rumble, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify so you never miss an episode. You can also access show notes and other resources on our website at undergodpodcast.com. See you next time, and remember to think biblically about the things that matter most.